I'm Jim Thompson, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I am so glad that you are here because it means that you want to learn how to become more productive with the time that you have each and every day. In this webinar, I am going to teach you a system that will allow you to become more productive with the time that you have. I don't want you to panic when I say I'm going to teach you a system because, as you will learn, this is a very simple system. I know when I speak to most attorneys about systems, they sometimes get this glassy-eyed look about them and think, I'm going to have to learn something new, write it all down, and then actually have to do it. Well, let me say from the beginning that this system is very simple, and I want to warn you, just because I say it's simple, it does not mean that you are not going to have to work at implementing it. I know you've seen this slide come up and you're wondering to yourself, Jim, just what are you talking about? There are only three priorities that I need to know if I want to be successful in getting control of my time. Yes, that's true. And you will see as we go through this program just what these three priorities are and how they can make your day and your week and your month more productive. As I said, this is a very simple system. There are only two components that make up this system, and you probably are already using them in a different way, but already using them. Before I go any further, I think it's important that I tell you a little bit about myself and why I am doing this webinar. I was a trial lawyer for over 26 years, and after retiring, I began working with lawyers, teaching and coaching them on how to get more clients, specifically how to get more and better clients through referrals. Over the years, I talked to a number of lawyers from all over the country. Some were brand new lawyers, some had been in practice for quite a while, some were in firms, large firms, and some were solos. And just about every specialty was represented. It As I was talking to these lawyers, basically they would tell me that, and not surprisingly, that they would get most of their new business by way of referrals. And when I asked them what they were doing to get referrals, quite frankly, most of them could not really give me a good answer. In fact, some of them told me they basically just hoped that they would get referrals from clients and other attorneys. They did nothing in particular to try and get them. It was very interesting to me that one of the most significant ways to grow your practice is by referrals, and it is treated almost as an afterthought rather than a priority. I have written two books on the subject of getting referrals. One talks about getting referrals from your clients, and the other talks about getting referrals from fellow lawyers. Why two books? To be perfectly frank, with lawyers, you are very lucky in that you can get referrals from both your clients and from fellow attorneys. And there are very few other professions where that is possible. Think about it. Most, say, financial planners will not refer business to another financial planner, or an insurance agent will not refer business to another insurance agent. But with the legal profession, there are so many specialties and subspecialties, it's very easy to refer business to other attorneys. Now, here is the problem. In teaching lawyers how to get more and better referrals, it became very apparent to me that they would tell me, Jim, I like what you talk about. I like what you say. It's great stuff. But you know what? I really do not have the time to put in and do what you asked me to do as far as getting referrals. So it became very apparent to me that if I was going to be successful in teaching lawyers on how to get referrals, I had to figure out a way to convince them that they had the time to work on this. And thus was born over a period of time a system that, while it will not get you more time during the day, it will get you more productive time. And that is really what we're talking about. Not the number of hours, but the number of hours that are productive during the day. As I mentioned, it was very important that I develop a system so that the things that I was teaching lawyers, they could actually have the time to use them. And so I wanted to show them how they could be more productive. And I need to let you know that I did not come up with this system totally by myself. I was very fortunate that I had a number of connections with people that I could talk to them, find out what they've done, and go from there. And people like you'll see in this picture, John Maxwell, who's written numerous books on developing relationships, etc. Michael Gerber. Michael Gerber wrote The E-Myth, but he also wrote The E-Myth Attorney. Bob Berg, who wrote Endless Referrals. The lady there is Ha Tran, who was a Vietnam refugee who basically came to this country with nothing and built a successful coaching business and has one incredible story to tell. And the other slide there, or the other picture there, I'm not sure who I was talking to, but I want you to understand that everything I'm going to share with you is not Jim Thompson talking. It is a combination of a number of different thoughts that were presented to me, and I just was fortunate enough to be able to put them into a system, if you will. I am sure that some of you are wondering just what this number represents. And to be totally honest with you, before I really started studying time and being more productive, I would not have had any idea. But it is basically the number of minutes each of us have every single day. We all start out with the same, and we end the day with the same number of minutes. The question is, how are you going to use those minutes? As attorneys, we have so many things that we must get done each day. So how are we going to get all of these done with the amount of time that we have each day? In addition to all of the other tasks that we need to accomplish during the day, we have to juggle our email, juggle our phones, juggle the administrative tasks that we have each day. We know what the problem is, but what is the solution? If if you are going to find the solution, you must have the right mindset. Part of having the right mindset is coming up with a plan for each day, and also a plan for the week, and also a plan for the month. But without a plan, you are forever going to be wasting a lot of time. So with everything that we have to do during the day, where or how do we begin to plan? But Jim, there are so many things that I have to plan. Where do I even begin? The first step in beginning to plan is setting priorities. Earlier, I mentioned that there were only 3 priorities that attorneys need to be concerned with. Here are the three priorities, and it might come as a shock to you that there are only three, and here they are. That which can get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it. Money and your family and personal life. And I am going to separately go into each of these in detail. The very first priority, and probably the most important, as we'll discuss a little bit later, is doing that which can get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it. Now, you have a picture of a judge here, and if any of you have been trial lawyers, probably have seen a judge looking down on you like this, saying, you didn't do what? Now, if you've got a brief that's due, if you've got an order that's due, or if you have to file a lawsuit, you need to get that done. Now, you attorneys who do not practice before judges, you still have to get things done in a timely fashion, because if you've got an estate plan and you got your client coming in tomorrow to go over it and you don't have it done, well, you're going to get in trouble with that client. And anything else that you have to do and you don't get it done when you're supposed to, you're going to get in trouble. So that becomes your first priority, that which will get you in trouble if you do not timely complete it. Your first priority needs to be that which you will get in trouble for if you don't timely complete it. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about this because there's a lot of components to this. But for instance, if you're a trial lawyer, you know you have certain deadlines. I mean, obviously statute of limitations, but obviously a judge said he wanted a brief on his desk Wednesday morning, or you have to respond to a motion by such and such time. These things are the areas that if you don't do them, you're going to get in trouble. Now, if you're a transactional lawyer, obviously you got to prepare for a real estate closing, or you've got a client coming in on Wednesday who is going to have the contract that you're preparing or the incorporation papers. But whatever it is, these are things that if you don't get them done, you're going to get in trouble for. Now, I know I'm going to get questions on this, so let me try and answer some of the questions that I think I can anticipate. And it's simply this. You've got, say, 4 items on your to-do list. On Sunday night, you got your 4 items on your to-do list that you got to figure into your appointment for Monday. Okay? So you're looking at those 4 items. Now, here's the thing. You've got 4 hours, say you've got 3 hours left on your that your appointment for Monday, your appointment book hasn't filled up. Okay. Now, I also realize you may have 4 items that are which you think are going to get you in trouble if you don't complete them. Okay. So now maybe you have 3 hours and you got 1 item that's going to maybe take 2 hours and 1 item is going to take 1 hour. So now you've already filled up your 3 hours. You still got 2 items on your priority list, right? That if you don't complete them, you're going to get in trouble for. Well, now you got to go back and prioritize again. Okay, so which of those items are you going to put or make an appointment with yourself for Monday? And again, what are the items in order of importance that if you don't get them done, they're going to get you in trouble? And you've got a motion that's due, a responsible motion that's due, you've got a brief that's due, you got a contract that's due. Now, you need to prioritize those things. So if you don't get them done on Monday, are there any items you can push over to Tuesday? And if you look at that and say, okay, I got these 2 items that are going to take 3 hours on Monday, and there's 2 items left, can I push those 2 items over to Tuesday? And hopefully you can look at your slots and see what you have on Tuesday that haven't been filled in, and you can fill them in that way. So now you're thinking a little bit ahead, not just on Monday, but Tuesday and maybe even Wednesday. So now you've taken those items that are the ones that the poor that are going to get you in trouble if you don't do, and you actually have scheduled them an appointment. Okay? Are you with me so far? Thinking about this. Now, we all know, as lawyers, things are going to happen. Emergencies are going to come up during the day, and you're not going to get certain things done. For instance, and one of the things I want to make sure I cover with you is I want you to be planning your day the night before. Because about what I'm about to say, if you plan your day the night before, like I'm suggesting, you've got Monday's calendar with all your appointments. You got the things that you need to get done on Monday there. And you're not working off your to-do list to do that, other than taking those items on the to-do list and putting them in your appointment calendar. Now, we all know, as lawyers, depending on type of practice we have, but we get there to the office at 8:30 or 8 o'clock or whatever we get there, and the secretary comes in, and at 9 o'clock she says, Mr. Jones is on the phone and his kid got arrested last night for DUI and needs your help. Well, you're not a criminal lawyer, but Mr. Jones is one of your best clients, right? So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to get on the phone and you're going to call your buddy who is a criminal lawyer. And that's going to take maybe an hour and a half out of your day, because you got to call your buddy. You got to make sure you get in touch with him. You call your client back and say, okay, I got my friend Jamie, who will be handling the criminal matter. Here's his information. You two connect. Or depending on how you connect them. I mean, that's again a whole different subject. But so all of a sudden, your Monday, that 2-hour time slot that you had set up for preparing a brief that's due on the judge's desk on Wednesday, doesn't get done because you don't have that time slot. So here's the thing. What you're going to have to do is look and see how important is that brief. Now, you may set it up the first thing in the morning because of its importance, or you may have set it up because that's when you have time to meet with your law clerk or whatever. Now, if it's an urgency thing that you got to get it done today, you're going to obviously have to move something around. Okay, something that's on that daily schedule, that you're going to move this into that slot and move that other slot down. Now, I would suggest, because I know you're going to say, well, by the time I'm done, my calendar is going to look like, scratches, scribble, and all this other stuff. I would suggest that you actually get a number 2 pencil with an eraser on it and keep your calendar, your appointments in pencil, because we all know there is going to be change. Now, again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just making a suggestion. If you got another way of doing it that's going to work better for you, I would certainly say go ahead and do it that way. But the bottom line here is you've got things that are set on your calendar. Now, obviously, you're flexible enough to move some of those things around, because some of those things on Monday, you might have to move over to Tuesday. Okay, so now you got to go to Tuesday, and look, you got things scheduled on Tuesday. Maybe you got a couple hours open on Tuesday. You can move one of those things over to Tuesday. Now, I know some of you are looking at me like, yeah, that sounds so great in theory, but it's just going to be impossible to do. The thing's going to be, I don't have the time to do it, Jim. Well, here's the thing. If you start doing it, okay, it'll become a habit. And you'll find ways to make it easier and easier and easier to do. Don't be of the mindset, well, it's impossible to do, so I won't do it. Try it. And if it works for you, great. If it's not working for you, don't just say, well, it's not working for you, and go back to the way you were doing things. Adjust. You may have to adjust. But the bottom line is you've started getting a hold of your projects, of your day, by virtue of being more and more productive. The second priority is money, because without money, you are not going to be in business very long. I have taken the money aspect and have divided it into two separate and distinct areas. When it comes to money, the first thing that you need to be thinking of is billing your clients for the services that you have rendered. You would be surprised at how many attorneys I talk to do not have a regular system or plan for billing clients, and as a result, they always seem to come up short at the end of the month. So just as you have to pay your bills, you need to make sure that you get your bills out to the client so that they can pay their bill, and thus you can stay in business. Now, one of the things that somebody mentioned to me, and I thought it was a really good idea, is, and again, this depends on the type of practice you have, but to bill your clients twice a month. If you bill your clients on the 15th of the month and on the 30th of the month, then you've got money coming in from that billing. You're not waiting a whole month to get paid. And the other thing that's really interesting is that if you bill a client, say, on the 15th of the month, and the 30th rolls around and they haven't paid you, then you might want to be a little concerned about whether they're going to pay the rest of your bill as you continue to provide services. Now, this is the second component of money, and it basically is the marketing aspect. Because if you're not doing marketing, and I know lawyers do not like that word, but if you are not marketing, if you're not developing business, then guess what? You're not going to be in business very long. So you have to figure out a way of getting clients in your door and doing the work for them. So this is the second component of money. And marketing is crucial. And as we go along, I'm going to show you how you can probably fit marketing into your daily schedule. The third priority is your family or your personal relationships. And I know some of you are thinking, wait a minute, Jim, my family is the most important priority. I'm doing everything for my family. And I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is during your business day, your priority with regard to family should be specific things, such as you have a recital that you have to go to for your daughter, her piano recital, or their graduation from kindergarten, or one of those things that's very special. And I'm going to show you how you can plan those in your week so that you have time to do those and you're not running behind calling your spouse saying, gee, I got tied up and I just can't get to Susie's recital. Would you please tell her how sorry I am? No, we're going to show you how you can also include these special family events in your daily and weekly plan. Okay, here it is, the system. I know that you have been waiting with bated breath to find out exactly what I am going to tell you about this system that is so very simple. Well, in the next 10 to 12 minutes, I'm going to share with you exactly what this system is. So please pay very close attention because what I'm about to say may make or break you as far as being more productive with your time. There are only two tools that you will be using in this system. And the first tool is your to-do list. But this is no ordinary to-do list, as you will see. The second tool in your system is your appointment book or appointment calendar or whatever you may call it. Now, I mentioned that you probably are already using a to-do list and you're probably already using an appointment calendar. And that is fine. Basically, it's how you are going to be using them that is the important point here. Now, I do need to stop for just a minute, and I want to make something just very perfectly clear, and that I'm showing you this to-do list and this appointment calendar merely for purposes of illustration, because I am aware that many of you have different systems that you use for keeping track of what you're supposed to be doing during the day and your appointments and things of this nature. And if they are working for you, that's totally fine. I don't want to change anything if something is working for you. What I really want to get across is not the specific tools, but how these tools are being used. And you can use these with your system that you're using, even if it's not quite illustrated here. But the point again is it's how they are used is the real key, and we're going to go into that in a lot of detail. Okay, now what we have here is your to-do list side by side along with your appointment calendar. And don't pay attention to what's actually on the to-do list because that really doesn't matter at this particular point. But we now are going to combine these two. I'm going to show you how it's done, and this is really going to be the key to the way we use this system to get you more productive time during the day. Now, what we have here is just a page out of the appointment book, and then the next slide. In this to-do list, you'll see on the left-hand side where it says priority, and basically what I've done is gone through and listed the items, and I know you can't see the specific items that I've listed there, but what I've done is taken and where I have an item that I know, and I just label it a T for trouble, I go ahead and I put that under the priority. And then I got another T and another T, and then I got an M there, which is for money, and that basically could be a number of different things. And then another T and another T, and et cetera, and then an F and a P for the family / personal. This is how you're going to keep your to-do list from now on. You're going to set a priority for each of the items on your to-do list. Instead of just having a to-do list and doing the items as they come up, you are going to actually think about what priority they are and where you want to place them. Now, one of the things that so many people do, and I've done this, is when we have a to-do list, we like going through and checking off items and as they come up. And a lot of times we check off items just so that we can say we've accomplished something, and we really don't give any thought to what those items represent or what priority those items are. So from now on, I want you to be thinking of when you have your to-do list, setting a priority using the 3 priorities that I mentioned. And again, just stay with those 3. And if you don't know where something fits, then think about it. Really give it some thought. If you don't know where it fits, it probably does not fit in one of those 3 priorities, quite frankly. But in any event, you are the one that's going to make the determination of what is a T, what is an M, what is an F or a P. But again, that is the key. That listing of the priorities is where it all is going to focus. So now I've laid the to-do list with the various priority items alongside the 2 pages or the 1 page for the Monday and Tuesday. And what I'm going to do there is now take my T items first, because those are probably the most important. And those are the ones, as I've said, that are going to get you in trouble. And I'm going to transfer those items into the 2 pages that are over there. Now, I don't know whether you can see this, but one of the things that I will share with you is on the 8 to 9 hour, I've written in marketing. And the reason I did that is marketing doesn't get done unless you have a specific time frame for it, a time slot for it. And probably the best time to do it would be early in the morning, 8 to 9, when nothing has really started happening in your office, or maybe from 7:30 to 8:30. You can do marketing. There's a lot of things you can be doing, and not really for this webinar, but there's a lot of things you can be doing marketing-wise in that early morning hour. And again, if you set a specific time to do your marketing, then you'll probably get it done. Now, obviously, there's going to be things that come up that you can't get it done, but it's there and you can see it and it's on your mind so that you're going back to it. If you never put it into your daily schedule, then obviously you're not going to really get it done. And I put in a couple of slots, and I'm going to talk about this a little more specifically when we talk about some of the hints and tips that I'm going to be able to give you. But I would suggest that at a certain time, and you're going to be the one that judges this, you return phone calls. Say you return phone calls from 11 to noon or 11:30 to noon. Say you return your emails from 1 to 2 or whatever works for you. But I want you to think about, and we'll talk about this in more detail when we get into the tips area, of taking a specific time to return phone calls, a specific time to read emails and respond to emails. So having said that, now those I've already set up on the schedule. So now I'm going to take my first T item, and it's I know you can't see it, but it's draft a lawsuit. So where do I put that? Well, I got to figure out how important is that. There's 3 or 4 T items on that list, and you're also going to probably have to set priorities as far as the T items go as to when you get them done, because some T items are there. You've written them on your to-do list, but it's an item that you're going to have to get done. But maybe it's not an item you have to get done on Monday. Maybe you can push it over to Tuesday or even over to Wednesday, that type of thing. But you are starting to think, and this is what I really want to get across to you, you are starting to think of what items are priority items, and those are the items that you're going to be able to get done during the day. And it's also going to free up a lot of other time that you normally would probably, and believe me, I've been there, be wasting because you don't have a set schedule to do something. Now, what I really want you to concentrate on, and I want you to really think about what we have just done. And what we have just done is set appointments with ourselves. Now, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, I want you to consider to set appointments with yourself. And when you start doing that, then you're going to find that you have a lot more time in the day because you have set specific things that you want to get accomplished, and you're going to get those accomplished. Okay, I want to say it one more time, and the real key to this total system is making an appointment with yourself with the 3 priority items we've talked about. Okay, now for a real quick recap. There are only 3 priorities that you need to concern yourself with. And once again, these are, number 1, those things that can get you in trouble if you don't timely complete them. Number 2 is money so that you can continue to practice law, so you can continue to stay in business. And number 3, your specific family or personal items that you have to set a specific schedule or a specific appointment, if you will, for. And again, there are only 2 tools that you need to be using. And these are your to-do list and your appointment book. And again, these are just specifically for illustration, but you can use whatever works for you as far as a to-do list and also as an appointment calendar that you keep. Okay, one more time. The key to everything we've talked about is making an appointment with yourself. And I know, and I really want to share with you, I know it's going to be difficult. You're not automatically going to pick up this system and start, tomorrow or the next day and say, okay, this is really working for me. It's going to take a lot of effort on your part to specifically sit down, do your to-do list, plan on your to-do list what are your priority items, and then set those in your appointment book, making an appointment with yourself. Okay, this slide is very self-explanatory. I've given you a number of ideas that you can use, but obviously the ideas that we've talked about are not going to bring you success. The only thing that's going to bring you success is taking action. And again, you take it in little chunks. Don't all of a sudden sit down and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plan my whole week and this is how I'm going to do it. No, plan each day. Plan each day and think about your to-do list. What is a T item? What is an M item? What is an F/P item? And begin slow. Start tomorrow and begin slow. Look at your to-do list right now and say, okay, what's on my to-do list? What is a T item? What is an M item? And what is a family or personal item? And then take those items and put them into your appointment book.